Hey YouTube, welcome back to another video. I have here a couple of my own 9-foot valved brass instruments, basically wrapped very similarly. They both face forward, they're both 9 feet long, they both take trombone-ish mouthpieces, and yet they're completely different. Let's go through and talk about 40-ish different instruments that are all in B flat, all have 3, 4 plus valves, um, and are all quite different from each other. First, and maybe most common of this entire list, we'll see about that, is the euphonium, the British tenor tuba, compensating or non-compensating, they're the same instrument, very common today. Bass saxhorn, this is from the saxhorn family, of course. This is the French tenor tuba, slightly different branch of the family, really only used in France. They have a very cool sound. I would do crazy things for one of these. One of the pro models with 4 valves compensating. Such cool instruments. The tenor tuba, or the German tenor tuba, that looks like the larger tubas. They kind of look like a small rotary F tuba. Also a dream horn of mine. I would love one of these. The Kaiser baritone, which is a German tenor tuba, but it's oval. It's pretty much the only difference, sometimes a little smaller. German baritone, which is a smaller German tenor tuba, kind of like euphonium versus American baritone, which we'll get to later in this list dimensionally. Smaller bore than the Kaiser baritone, but the same shape. German tenor horn, even smaller, equivalent-ish to like a British baritone, again later on this list. It's even smaller, but it's the same shape. American baritone, which is a tenor tuba-ish. This is the one that everyone gets confused about because it's a weird, undersized tenor tuba. The British went a little larger. The Germans also stayed a little larger. The French did their thing with the saxhorn. And the Americans just did this weird in-between thing that only we did. Really common in the United States in the middle of the 20th century in band settings. Only. It's the only place it existed. The double bell euphonium, which is an American baritone with another bell that's smaller, kind of valve trombone sized. They're stupid. The American tenor horn, which is super obsolete. Same basic thing as a British baritone. It's a weird little thing, and people find these in pawn shops all the time. They usually have just totally shot valves or falling apart. I wish they didn't exist. The old school true American baritone, which is smaller than the American baritone we talked about earlier, kind of 530 bore. This was when we had 3 different kinds, and the modern American baritone was the biggest one. It's just another weird little thing. Again, really commonly found by people in pawn shops, and they think, ooh, I found a euphonium. You did not. The British baritone horn, which is a modern baritone sax horn or sax tromba, again later on the list. Depending on who you ask, this one's much smaller than euphonium, obviously, in every dimension, and not really in use outside brass bands, the British style brass band. The baritone and bass saxotrombas, nobody cares. The baritone and bass sax tubas, nobody cares. The trombonium, another American weird thing. It's a valve trombone, but it's wrapped up and sometimes has the forward-facing bell. The valve trombone, it's a valve trombone wrapped the correct way for the only time on this list. The flugabone, which is valve trombone, wrapped a shorter way. The superbone, part or most of a trombone, a slide trombone, which is not on this list, with a valve trombone built in as well. There's 2 different styles. We have the old style, the Holton, sucks, they're bad, don't buy them. And we have the new Shawgirl, which doesn't suck and has an entire slide. We have the B-flat bass trumpet, the orchestral version of it. We have the piston version, like my Bach, or a Kahn, or a Holton, or a Getzen, or the rotor version, which is dimensionally very similar. These are trumpet dimensions scaled up from 4.5 feet for B-flat trumpets up to 9 feet. Notice how it's still much smaller than a British baritone would be in all ways. The B-flat bass trumpet for beer hall use, which is a European-only thing. They're still cool, but that's just like you don't use these in orchestras. It is a very specific use case. Bass cornet technically exists. That's all we've got. The bass flugelhorn slash the fiskhorn. Little chunky guys. I love these so much. They're very similar to beer hall bass trumpets, but they're only used in the Iberian Peninsula, Spain, Portugal, etc. Marching baritone. We have some in the style of the American baritones, like the old Kings, and then we have modern ones, which are more like uh, modern euphoniums in a lot of ways. But again, all of these are wrapped forwards. We have the marching baryphonium, the King System Blue, and then the Chinese System Blue. And now King makes them again, but they're not System Blue. I can't keep up. This is literally only one like model of instrument, and it's halfway basically between the modern marching baritone and the modern marching euphonium, just like right in between in all the specs. Now, in the marching euphonium, it's the full bore, big euphonium, and it faces forwards. B flat French horn. Yes, the small side of a double French horn is 9 feet long. The long side, of course, is 12 feet long. They're longer than all these instruments we're talking about here. And there are a lot of single B flat horns out there, a lot of student horns and stuff. But there's also doubles, compensating doubles, triples. A lot of things have the B flat French horn in the instrument. The B flat marching horn, it's a single B flat horn, faces forwards. The B flat ballad horn, kind of the mellophone type, and we're talking about a different kind of mellophone here, not the marching mellophone, but the old school mellophone, late 1800s, early 1900s, where for some inexplicable reason the bell faces down, not back like a French horn, but down, like 90 degrees from the mouthpiece. We have the B flat ballad horn, flugely type, like the boozy. It's kind of the same thing, but instead of 90 degrees down, it's 90 degrees up. And again, like ergonomically has to be just a nightmare because you're literally just holding the whole thing up in front of you, out in front of you. The tenor normophone, you see it, that's what it is. The tenor jazzophone, yeah, that's what it is. Please don't buy one. The baritone antoniophone. Now we're talking. Dr. Seuss is a huge fan. I love these things. They're so cool. I have seen one in real life. There's also the bass antoniophone. It's in the same length. It's still 9 feet long, but larger bore and bell. The tenor cornophone. I love these things. Just the little chunky shape. They like go down and then it just stops. Like the bell is like right in front of your hand. I love these things. There's probably also baritone and bass versions of these, but again, super obsolete instrument. And here's a tenor one. Tenor sousaphone. Yes, most sousaphones are in B flat or E flat, even sometimes F. These are in 9-foot B flats. They like barely fit around a person, and not a lot of reason for them to exist. Here's a baritone helicon. Same thing. Helicons are like sousaphones, except the bell just kind of faces off into the distance instead of forwards. And there's one of these. You're looking at all 7 pixels of the only baritone helicon. Tenor and bass over the shoulder Civil War sax horns. I think these are kind of cool. I don't really want to play one or anything, but they're another sax horn similar to the French one we talked about above, but they face backwards because the band is marching in front of the military formation playing a tune, and you want the people marching to hear you. The tenor Herald trumpet. So I have obviously a bass trumpet. The Herald trumpet's the same thing, except it's long because you want to hold a like flag on it. Very cool instruments. It's the tenor trombone role in the Herald trumpet choir. And then last up on today's list, by no means is this all of the 9-foot brass instruments of all time, but the B flat bass Herald trumpet, which is kind of like the bass trombone of the Herald trumpet choir. That's a long list. That's a lot of things. Some of them very cool. Bass trumpets, I like them. Some of them extremely not cool, like the American baritone. You're not going to be cool. Never going to be cool. Notice how I never said cylindrical or conical, because those terms are functionally meaningless. They just really don't mean that much. What means more is kind of the branch that these instruments came out of. They come out of sax horns and therefore kind of like tubas, and they're tenor tubas, or do they come from kind of like the trumpet version of things, and therefore they're really skinny and stuff? There's a lot of dead branches of evolution in here. The the Antonio phone, it's not happening. The jazzophone, it's not happening. A lot of dead instruments in this list. Some of them still around, but like super rare. Fisk horns, like they literally get used in like just a couple thousand square miles in the Iberian Peninsula, and they get used a lot, but that's the only place. And some of them are super common, like the modern euphonium, the British tenor tuba. That's all I've got for now. I'll see you all in the next video. Hopefully you learned something about 9-foot long brass instruments.